welcome back to my YouTube. I thought that I'd do something slightly different today, so it's going to be a bit raw. There's going to be a lot of talking, so I do apologise in advance, but hopefully you'll find it interesting. So obviously, because it is lockdown at the moment and everybody can't train, I've had a few people comment on my videos and DM me just to say, can you do something a little bit different that's not training? It's just because not everybody has the luxury that I have of being able to get into the lovely facility that is Ultraflex Rotherham. So today I'm going to give you a backstory on me. Obviously people know, or I don't know if you do know, but I used to be a diver for Great Britain. Not a scuba diver, please don't ever say that, and not a swimmer. Don't ever say that. It's the worst thing that you can ever say to a diver. No offence to swimmers, but I won't want to be a swimmer. So yeah, I'm going to give you the story, or the backstory of me as an athlete, because I've been an athlete for a very long time. It started off as a dancer, if you want to call dancing. Yeah, I was an athlete, yeah, because it was at a high level. Anyway, we'll go into that more as we go on. But starting off as a dancer, moving into gymnastics, and then obviously into diving. So I'm going to give you a backstory. Gaz is going to do some magic with his camera skills as well to tie in some videos of me when I was actually doing those sports as well. And I'm just going to give you a backstory to me and my development of an athlete throughout the years. And yeah, I hope that you do find it interesting. I don't actually like to talk about it, but Gaz and Cooper made me. So here we are, and we're gonna uncover location number 1 in a second, and then I'll give you a backstory into that one. So yeah, off we go. Right, okay, so location number 1, and oh, I've done it wrong. We'll have to keep it in. Anyway, location 1 and sport number 1, which is dancing. So I actually started dancing when I was 3. This wasn't actually the location, but the location that it's in, we can't actually get to the building due to Corona because it's on a private estate. So I actually started when I was 3, and I became very fond of one of the older dancers called Rachel Higginbottom. If you're watching it, Rachel, I know that she watches my YouTube, so yeah, I became very fond of her, and she actually decided to branch out on her own and become a dance teacher, which is where we came to, which is the Worsborough Community Centre. I'm actually from Barnsley. It's not the nicest of locations, and Barnsley has its nice bits, but it also has its Barnsley bits. So I'm a very Yorkshire person. People that are from other countries, you may not understand what I mean, but it just basically means that I'm a bit rough and ready. I don't know if I should say that. Anyway, so location number 1 and sport number 1. So yeah, I started when I was 3 dancing, actually contemporary dancing, where I did tap, ballet and modern. Ballet was my favourite, and it was probably the one that I was best at. If you actually know me, to be graceful is probably not my forte, but for some reason when I was dancing I was very graceful, as also my mum told me. Anyway, with dancing, it taught me a lot of resilience from the start, really, because even then I was dancing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off Thursday, training on a Friday. Could we call it training? Yeah, it's still training. And then off on a Saturday, and then we danced on a Sunday as well. So I actually did it quite a lot. I managed to compete all over the country, and then I actually went to the All England dance finals because I'd qualified myself at the age of 6. So here I actually got to dance on the West End stage. Obviously most of you know what the West End is, where they do all of the big musicals. So yeah, I went there at the age of 6 to dance on the West End, and I actually won both of the classes that I'd been put into because of other competitions, which is obviously a massive achievement, and it's the best thing that I ever did with dancing. I actually met some incredible girls, and one of my closest friends, Jess, I actually met her through dancing, so very appreciative of that. I've actually met the best people when I've done any sport that I've done. But yeah, that that was like the first thing and the best thing that kind of came from that. We did gymnastics as part of dancing. There was a gymnastics routine and a gymnastics dance that we had to do in a competition, and I really enjoyed it and wanted to actually maybe try it out, which I did. We will go to that location in a second and we'll show you where I actually used to do that. And I actually had a conversation and sat down with my dance teacher, obviously knowing her from the age of 3, and at this point I was 8. I actually sat down with her and said, look, I want to try out a different sport as well as still continuing with my dancing, would that be okay? And she basically said to me, look Megan, you're a fantastic dancer, you've achieved like things that not any other person in kind of our area has done. I was actually one of the youngest dancers ever to win the competition that I actually won in London as well, so that was a great achievement. But she just said that because of my size I was never actually going to be a good dancer, which is very true. If you're not 5'5" or above, you're very capped as to what you kind of get with dancing, especially when it comes to being a ballet dancer. So that is why I turned my eye to doing something else. But I actually ran dancing and gymnastics and diving all at one point, all together. So I had a very busy life, jumping from one sport to another in an evening. But yeah, that was dancing. That was the achievements that I had with that. So that was the first kind of introduction to me as an athlete, as a little girl. Sport number 2 was actually gymnastics. So I did artistic for a while, which is obviously the one that you see at the Olympics, where they do the floor, the beams, the bars, and I was absolutely terrible at it, like really bad. I wasn't bad as in like I didn't have any fear, so I'd go and try something, but I don't have a very flexible back, so I was told that quite often, that I was never going to be able to be a fantastic gymnast because of the fact that I didn't have a very flexible back. And if I'm going to do something, I actually want to be really good at it, so that's why I decided that I didn't want to do it so much. Anyway, I also did acro gymnastics, where you have a base and a top where someone does somersaults or handstands on someone's hands, and I actually did that for some time as well at the same time. So I was actually doing acro gymnastics, artistic gymnastics and dancing all at the same time, all in one. I actually started gymnastics here and it's actually been knocked down, unfortunately. So they tried to keep the stadium open because it was actually built for the Commonwealth. It was actually the Don Valley Stadium in Sheffield, and there was a big thing to try and protest to keep it staying open, because it was a fantastic facility. It was good for kind of sports. It was a real, I don't know, pinpoint for sport in Sheffield, and unfortunately they knocked it down to build warehouses and etc. on instead. So this is where I actually did gymnastics. You just can't see the building because they've knocked it down. I was actually doing gymnastics one day, and the head coach for diving was actually also the head coach for gymnastics. He actually oversaw, whatever it is, both things. He actually turned to me and said, look, you're not going to make the best gymnast because you haven't got a very flexible back. We're having a new thing that's starting, which is basically like grassroots for diving, where they're going to trial out some athletes who are alright at gymnastics, that have had a bit of a taste with diving, and see where they go, kind of put them on a grassroots program for diving, which was called the Junior Talent Program. So he asked me to go and try out for that. So this is where diving started, so I will now take you to where it all began, and I will talk about my diving journey there. Here we are at Ponsford. This is my home, like home. Not even like second home, this is my home.
I've been diving since 2002, since I was 8, so 8 years.
Diving gave a lot to me, and it meant a lot to me. It was where I became a true athlete, could we say, because I haven't always been an athlete just because of bodybuilding. the way that I am now is how I've been since the age of 8. The fact that you've got to be very regimented with your food, with your training, with your sleep, with everything, to make sure that you are in tip-top shape, that your mind is focused. If anything, like with diving, I had to make sure that I was switched on as soon as I went into those doors, even more so than when I was training like for bodybuilding now. Everything was for diving because I had the goal of obviously wanting to go to the Olympics. So I was 8 years old when I first started, and my first actual diving session was when I was trialling out for the junior talent program, and this was with obviously the people who were the big overseers in British diving, were there looking and watching athletes. They were only going to pick 10 of us, and I was actually chosen to be part of that 10. So from the age of 8, from my first ever diving session, I was actually put onto a funded program, so money to be able to pay our memberships, to be able to buy equipment that we needed, to be able to fund us to be able to go to training camps or competitions if we needed. So obviously my first few years of diving, it became very apparent quite quickly that I was going to be a platform diver rather than a springboard diver, mainly because I'm tiny and I don't have a lot of weight behind me. Even now when I'm trying to push for size with bodybuilding, I do find it very hard to put on a lot of weight. So because I wasn't weighty, I didn't get a lot of spring from the springboard. That's why I went into the high board. When I was 9, my diving was obviously jetting off quite well. I was on the junior talent program, like I was saying. I'd also done a few competitions where I'd placed really well in them, and I was just getting a lot of attention and great feedback from kind of my coach, who is, I think he's probably one of the biggest role models that I've ever had in my life. So his name was Adam Southern, and I have so much respect for the man. At the time I thought he was being very harsh on me, but he has made me the person who I am today. He has made me the most resilient, stubborn, hard-working people. Like the way that he was harsh, but it created for me to be a great diver. It created for me to be a good athlete, and I think a good person all round. I have him and my amazing family to thank for the way that I am, and for me to have been able to achieve the things that I have done in obviously my careers. So yeah, anyway, to diving, I was 9 when I started my competitions. Things were going very well. Was winning kind of national levels at being the age of 9. And in 2005, when I was 10, just turning 11, that was when I did my first ever international competition. I was actually the youngest person there, diving against girls who were 8 or 9 years my senior, depending on which age group they were in, and I actually managed to come 3rd. So I beat people that were a lot older than me. It was then that I got quite a lot of attention from British Diving, and they said that I should try out the 10-metre diving platform. Normally when people are young, they don't get pushed to do such a high board, just because obviously you're growing. Your growth plates aren't going to be able to withstand so much pressure and so much impact from the water. So yeah, I got pushed to do the 10-metre, which I'm really happy that they did, to be fair. And I was doing dives that girls that were 8 years older than me that they normally do. This is the way that we actually used to go into the diving pool. We weren't supposed to, but it was just a really long building, so it was easier for us to just nip through the fire exit rather than going through the main entrance. If I could take you inside, I would do, but it's actually closed due to COVID. Unfortunately, when everything reopened in the summer, they found it hard to reopen the building, just because of the amount of overheads that they actually do have for the size of the building. They nearly didn't reopen, so I'm really hoping, for the sake of my old diving club, that they can actually reopen it again, because there's a lot of memories in here for a lot of people, and it would be a shame for it to close. But I literally met the best people diving, and my closest friends, even to this day, that I speak to every single day, are divers. One including obviously Ria, that lots of you know, and then a couple of my closest friends, and my best friend Ashton was actually someone that I met through diving, so very thankful for that. Anyway, back to kind of the journey of diving. So I then became part of a synchronized diving kind of team. So there was two of us that used to dive together in synchronization. Gaz will actually get some videos of that too. So we competed together from 2008. We went to our first international competition and we came second. The year after that, we actually got invited to go to the Grand Prix. So the only way that I can describe that is it's like in Formula 1 where they have the different Grand Prix where you then accumulate points to be able to go to like a World Championships, and me and my partner Monique actually went there and we came second, and we got the best kind of personal record score. This was at the age of, God, how old would I have been? 12, 13? We actually got the best score that British diving females had in forever, so it was a personal record score. The year later, we actually went to the European Championships and came third. Again, we placed, obviously, third place there, and it was the first time in 50 years that females of diving had actually placed in a European Championship, so it was a massive achievement. Yeah, that summer was actually mad. Went away for that one, and then got invited to go to the Youth Olympics, and got invited to go to the Junior World Championships as well, where I actually went to there, and I think I came 6th at the Youth Olympics, and then I actually placed 4th at the World Championships of Juniors as well. The following year I actually won the European Championships as well, so I'm actually a European champion, 4th in the world at one point, and yeah, that was kind of my career. I actually in 2008 got took to the Beijing Olympic Games as well as a reserve. How old would I have been there? 14, 15? 14 I think. So I actually went to the 2008 Olympics. It was literally one of the most amazing experiences that I actually got to see and watch. I obviously didn't compete because nobody fell injured or fell ill or anything like that, so I actually got to watch, and it was the most amazing experience I've ever done. I actually got to travel the world and experience things and meet people of all different cultures with diving, and I'm so thankful for it. So yeah, that was me in a nutshell. I was a UK lottery funded athlete for a very long time. I gave my life and soul to it. Unfortunately, I injured myself, and that kind of made me retire from the sport, which is obviously why I then became a bodybuilder. Found the gym, and then unfortunately I'm really competitive and needed something to be competitive in again. So that's actually why I became a bodybuilder. But yeah, I was an Olympic UK GB diver for a long time, and it was literally some of the best years of my life, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Sometimes I wish I could get back, but you know, I'm an old lady now, so I can't. Gotta be a bodybuilder. In 2010, because of kind of all of my achievements as well, I actually got put into what do you call it? Is it like a nominations type thing for the BBC? And for, obviously they do it for different regions. So for Yorkshire, I got put in for Young Sportsperson of the Year, and I actually won that in 2010. I'll get Gaz to put a picture on because my hair is horrendous, and it's actually quite funny. But yeah, that was a great achievement as well. So the end of my diving journey I actually spent in Plymouth. So I actually got offered a scholarship there with university, so obviously I did my university alongside my diving. As you know from watching a lot of my YouTubes, I'm quite a busy, well organised person, and that's kind of come from being younger through my sports, leading into kind of now, and it's just kind of cross-correlated to become the well-organised, well-prepared person that I am for normal day-to-day life now. But yeah, anyway, I finished the end of my competitive diving journey in Plymouth there. So yeah, it was a great 13 years, and I achieved so many different things, and I'm so proud of every single thing that I actually managed to achieve with that. But yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed the little journey. So throughout my years as a diver, obviously I became an athlete, and with that, being an athlete comes, I guess you could call it, sacrifice. So as a young girl, I didn't experience everything that everybody else experiences, and I'm not bothered about that at all. I'm actually really happy that my life turned out the way that it did. So obviously a lot of my friends from school went out on a Friday night. They could go out drinking and go to parties, whereas I was up at the crack of dawn on a Saturday going training, because I actually trained Monday through to Saturday morning, had Saturday afternoon off, and then trained again on Sunday just for one session as well. So I actually trained 7 days a week. It's actually quite a lot, really, isn't it, when I think about it? So being an athlete, what does that mean to me? Being an athlete is someone who has real drive and motivation and love for their sport, someone who gives everything and anything to their sport because they truly love it. They love every part of the process. It's like when it came to diving, we had a season of around 6 months of the year where we were actually competing, which to me, like, I loved the competitive side, because like I do well under pressure. It brings out this real competitive tiger inside me, and I really love competing. So that's what I really thrived upon. I liked the competition. But then the other 6 months of the year, we were in the off season, as you could call it, with the bodybuilding. We actually called it off season and peak season, so it's still the same thing, where we got stronger, where we did a few months where we had a little bit of time off from like the hard dives, getting the easy dives going well again, and then incorporating the hard dives again. So it was like a full process year in, year out, and that I loved every part of it. And that's the same with bodybuilding now. Like, every single part of it, I truly enjoy it. Like, I love the off season. I love to get strong. I love to be able to eat the foods. I love to be able to go to the gym and just really give my all in the gym. Like, when I'm at the gym, like, that is my time to train. Like, that is my everything. And that was the same with diving. And I, like, the way that I am now is exactly how I have been since I was 8 years old. And not many people understand it, because like, I don't want to go out every Friday and drink. I don't want to go out and eat lots of different food all the time. I don't want to go on holiday to Ibiza every single year and drink my soul away. It's alright every now and again, yeah, but I don't want to do it all the time. And not everybody understands that. Some people that I've ever met think I'm weird because I don't want to do those normal things, but I don't care. Like, to me, sport and doing something like this really gives me true purpose, and that's what I love, and that's what I've been doing since the age of 8, and it's what has carried on throughout my whole time as a bodybuilder. And whatever I go on to next, I will be exactly the same with. It's how I am with everything. My business, with my coaching, like, I give it everything, and I give all my clients everything. So yeah, like, even when I was diving with school, I didn't even go to school really, and I still had to do my GCSEs. So from being, I think it was year 9, I didn't ever go in the afternoon to school. I only did mornings, so I just did mornings at school. So I basically had to home learn, or sometimes we had a tutor that came with us on diving trips to help us actually get to our GCSEs. I did some of my GCSEs in China. I did one of them in Mexico. So I had to kind of self-teach and be prepared in that way. Like even with diving, when I was at uni, I had to juggle that, plus I had a part-time job as well. So I like to be doing things, I like to be focused, but I love my sport, and from that being diving to now being bodybuilding, it's the exact same thing to me. Like it is my everything, and no one or anything can get in the way of that being my everything. And I will do everything that I can to hopefully be the most successful bodybuilder like I did with diving, until, I don't know, get too old and I look like a little biddy on stage. I'll be walking on with my Zimmer frame. No, I'm kidding. No, maybe I'm not. But yeah, right, so that is the end of my video and my journey of me being a diver and an athlete, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you've kind of seen a different, hopefully, side to me and my feelings and my thoughts towards what it is that being an athlete truly is, and what sport truly means to me, and kind of like what I am like as a person. I wanted to do a different video compared to just a day in the life, or kind of a training video, and I'm sorry that I've spoken so much. I don't like, if you've got to this point, I applaud you. Because there's a lot of talking, and there's a lot of me talking with my strong Barnsley accent, but I do hope that you've enjoyed it. Anything else that you'd ever want me to cover, anything from life to bodybuilding to anything, please let me know in the comments. Please drop me a DM on Instagram, and I would be more than happy to do any videos and shed any light on anything that anybody else would like me to. But thank you so much for watching, and I will be back soon.